Mr. Cooney?
Here.
Dr. Corlino?
Here.
Mr. Brown? Dr. Kane?
Here.
Dr. Modrak?
Here.
Mr. Morello?
Here.
Ms. Noby?
Here.
Mr. O'Brien? Mr. Palmer?
Here.
Genevieve Lake?
Here.
And Jay Surratt.
Here.
Quorum present.
Okay, thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jim, please read the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law Statement.
The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend the meetings of public bodies in which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, Montville Township Board of Education approved this meeting date. Notice of the meeting has been posted at the municipal building, all Montville Public Schools, Montville Public Library, the Montville Township Board of Education Administrative Office Building, the Montville Public School website, and advertised in the Daily Record.
Okay, thank you. So we will now turn it to our high school student representative, Genevieve and Jay. So the floor is yours.
Oh, you'll have to forgive me, I'm losing my voice. I'm going to talk about sports. Our cross-country team this past week, JV earned first place in their division at Friday's Maroon Invitational at Garrett Mountain, and varsity took fourth in their division. Field hockey's record has improved to 5-2, holding our school's best fall sports team record. Volleyball won their tournament this Saturday at Morris Knolls, defeating promising teams such as Morris Knolls and Varsity. The team will be hosting a Dig Pink game early in October. This game will raise money for breast cancer research and awareness. The first home football game, regardless of the score, was a major success. A shocking amount of students, especially seniors, attended the game to support the football team. Even better, everyone wore black, as a lot of students had done Friday in school. It was a great sight walking into our school and seeing the amount of school spirit shown through the participation of people wearing black.
Moving on to clubs, this past weekend the forensics team attended Yale University and the team did a tremendous job. Some of the top results included James Burnett and Claire Sullivan placing 5th in dual interpretation, Noah Weinflash placing 3rd in original oratory, Claire Sullivan placing 4th in oral interpretation, Pranav Kumar placing 7th in Congress, and Jay Surratt semi-finaling in extemp. Overall, the team took 3rd out of 205 schools, and it was a great way to start the season for a top 50 team in the nation, consistently moving up in the rankings. The Video Game Academy is now our high school's newest club. Over 30 members have joined, and more are planning to join in the near future. The Academy builds their own video games and will allow students to test them out. It should be very cool. Moving on to school, next month we will be having an assembly for Rachel's Challenge. The program is based on the writings and life of 17-year-old Rachel Scott, who was the first student killed in Columbine High School in 1999. Rachel left a legacy of reaching out to those who were different, who were picked on by others, and who were new at her school. The challenge utilizes a 5-step school improvement process. Following this assembly, there will be a 90-minute training session for kindness ambassadors for those students who are interested in trying to spread a positive atmosphere at the high school. The goal was that 50 students would sign up for the program. Instead, upwards of 120 signed up, and more are still signing up, showing the incredible program that we're going to see at the high school, and it should be an amazing event.
Looking into the future, high school sports are back in full force and dozens of exciting games will be played this fall. These games are highly anticipated by our students, and our teams are expecting a high amount of students to attend. The Spirit Week for high school will run from Monday through Friday, September 29th through October 3rd. The week involves fun dress-up days such as Movie Star Monday, Montville Day, a retro day in which each class will dress as a different decade, Pajama Day, and a Color Wars Day. This week will end on Friday with our annual pep rally. Teams will have the opportunity to plan a skit and perform in front of the entire school. It is always a huge success. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
Just one. Rachel's Challenge, that's October 7th, right?
I believe so. It's early in the month.
It is.
October 7th.
Were we going to have any discussion also whether or not to move the board?
It's under my remarks on your agenda.
Do you have any questions for us?
No? Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Hope you're doing well. So this evening, I'll mention one thing, and that is at our next Board of Education meeting, which at this point we'll say is yet to be determined in terms of the date, because that's the next item on the agenda. I will be presenting the Board of Education district goals for the 2014-2015 school year. So that will be at our next meeting. And the board will receive the final version of that, of course, after the draft between now and then. So, in keeping with Jay's remark about the Rachel's Challenge community project that's taking place here at the high school, I do want to bring to the board's attention that is on October 7th. And as I explained in my update to the board, dates for the Rachel's Challenge events around the country are very limited because it's a very, very special opportunity that school districts have to bring this program to the district. And so October 7th is the date of that event, and that cannot be changed. Since that is the case, and it conflicts with our planned Board of Education meeting on October 7th, I would like to bring this to the board's attention and propose that we move our Board of Education meeting possibly to the next day, which would be Wednesday, October 8th. Another alternative could be Monday, October 6th. I think, in hearing back from at least one board member, Wednesday the 8th might be the preferred date. But I'll leave that up to the board right now for conversation.
Does anyone have a particular preference, or does the 8th, Wednesday, October 8th work?
I'll be out of town. Would not be able to be there that night on the 8th. I would not be able to be here.
Anyone else? Is the 8th okay with the rest of the board? Would Monday be better, or you still have to check? Wednesday okay with you? I have actually a commitment at Pequannock that night. I'm going to be presenting at their Board of Education meeting, so Wednesday works better for me.
So you would live on the 6th.
I have a commitment on Monday, the 6th.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So Wednesday, the 8th.
So, okay, Jim will advertise that for Wednesday, October 8th. And just one final comment. One of the goals that the Board of Education and district have each year is to look at the culture and climate of the school district. And I believe that the nature of this particular event at the high school, Rachel's Challenge, fits very nicely into that category, into that area, and really begins the school year, I think, in a very, very productive, positive way here at the high school. I would encourage our Board of Education members to make plans to attend that event on October 7th. There are several events during the course of the day. I see Doug Sanford, our high school principal, is in the audience this evening. I believe that there are several events for students, student leaders, and then ultimately in the evening an opportunity for parents and the community to be involved. So I would encourage the Board of Education to plan to attend that night, and of course, our members of the audience as well. So thank you.
Jim, Business Administrative Report?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Portman. I just want to provide the board and the public with an update on our transportation operations for the new school year. As I reported at the last board meeting, we still have a few of our routes that are problematic in terms of being chronically late at our middle school. As most may be aware, we have a 3-tier route system here in Montville. So in other words, you utilize one school bus vehicle that first does the high school runs, then it does the elementary school runs, and then finally ends up finishing off the middle school runs. What happens is it's a very tight schedule, and if things don't work out as far as the arrival times and departure times of the students getting loading and unloading all those various groups of schools, they can throw things off a bit. So what we did was last year we kind of cleaned it up quite a bit by implementing early bus aids, and that was very successful. So what I did this year, the spring was I made a recommendation to the board. They supported it to rebid a number of our elementary school routes. We added 2 additional routes to try to take some of the load off and spread it out so that we could address those late buses. So we did that, and then, like I said, we rebid an additional 10 on top of that. We have been monitoring very closely and carefully throughout from the first day of school, the bus locks coming in at Lazar. And despite our efforts with those 2 additional routes, we see it's still not enough. We're still having a few bus routes that are still chronically late every day. So I've made a recommendation to the Board of Education to implement the early morning bus aids once again in the elementary schools to take the pressure off those routes and get the buses to the middle school on time. The board supported that initiative. As a matter of fact, we've already started implementing it. I met with the First Street bus manager about 2 weeks ago and started formulating the plan. And we actually put it into action. Dr. Shorter was very instrumental in pushing it through very quickly. What we're doing is we're actually starting the bus aid. We did the postings for the required for the MTA and spoke to the MTA, and they were very supportive. Again, this year with the stipend, we've had a number of teachers already who have stepped up. So I believe you had, Dr. Shorter, three schools have started today, and 4 more schools tomorrow. So we're going to see a marked improvement by the end of this week. And we should, our goal is to have every single bus on time. We're better than we were the last few years. I mean, I'm sure those of you that have had trouble with the school system for some time have known that this has been a problem that's been going on for decades in Montville with these routes being renewed every single year and being, a problem. So we started taking it up about 2 years ago, better last year, and we want to be, perfect this year in terms of our arrival times. So our goal is to have every bus on time at Lazar within the next week and a half, 2 weeks at the most. I strongly suspect we're going to see a marked improvement by the end of this week and certainly by next month. Are there any questions from the board? Thank you for the board's support on that. Appreciate it.
Are there any committee reports?
Yep, policies meeting October 14th.
On October
14th.
14th. Anything CIT? Safety? County liaisons? Yes. Okay. While you get to your seat, Mustang Association meeting on October 1st, I believe. Our liaison cannot make it. Can anybody cover? Is that October 1st? The next meeting? Yes? Anybody cover? Okay, well, I'll be there if I can. Okay, you're on.
So CIT, we had tentatively scheduled a meeting for September 29th, but due to unavailability of half the members of that committee, we're going to be rescheduling it tentatively to October 14th, and we'll announce the definitive date at the next board meeting.
Well, that's the
Is that the
policy.
same night as policy?
What?
That's the
policy.
same night as policy.
Okay, well, Andrea and I didn't realize that, so we'll reschedule it.
We may not have any crossover, although we may.
Yeah, it depends on the time, just what time is your committee meeting?
But
At 5?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on both committees. I mean, personally, I don't have a problem with backing them up one against the other. That's just me.
yeah, if it could be worked out, that's fine. Let's see. On September 30th, Morris County School Board Association is having a meeting on advocacy. We're expecting 4 or 5 legislators to be there, so if any board members want to attend September 30th. Assemblyman Weber will be there. Senator Bucco, Assemblyman Bucco, Assemblywoman Myla J.C., and Senator Michael Patrick Carroll. So it should be a very good meeting. It's free, and they feed you, and it's at the Villa. And I'll drive if you want to go. Any PTC liaison reports? I have one from Cedar Hill. They had a recent meeting, and I thought that Dr. Raj did a really nice job in explaining what happened with the panic buttons. It was an interesting story. How one of the panic buttons was inadvertently set off. I didn't hear any transportation complaints, so that was nice. And the school is very excited about the 50th anniversary activities that are going on at Woodmont, Cedar Hill, and William Mason as well. Just the two, Woodmont and Cedar Hill. There aren't any others. I'll open it up to the public on items on the agenda. Okay, close public participation and motion for items I to,
Karen, I think I misunderstood.
so public participation for items on the agenda.
Transportation was on the agenda, so.
Items on the agenda.
Okay,
Yep,
okay. Do I need to step up there or can I just speak loud?
no, up to the podium, it has a mic.
Okay. I'm Diane Waternaro, 17 Dyncrest Road, Tulaco. I'd just like some clarification about the bus routes. What is the definition of an on-time arrival at Lazar?
The latest acceptable is 8:20.
8:20?
Is the latest acceptable, that's our
Okay.
target.
And prior to the implementation of the bus monitors, what was the time that buses are allowed to unload at the elementary schools?
7:55 a.m.
Okay, so there's a 25-minute window
Yes.
from an elementary route to a Lazar route.
That's correct.
Deadhead time, run the route, make it to Lazar by 8:20.
That's
Okay. My child rides bus 22. A year ago, I pointed out that it doesn't make a lot of sense to use a Hilldale bus to run a northern Tulaco Lazar route, and that is how this route is designed. Last year, I asked that that route be redesigned for this year, and I was told by the transportation coordinator that it would be redesigned, and we would never use a Hilldale bus again for a Tulaco route. And unfortunately, we're here this year at exactly the same spot we were last year, using the Hilldale bus to run a route that starts on Walhall Road.
Yes.
Can we get this fixed, please? This is the reason the bus is late. It's got nothing to do with bus monitors. It's got nothing to do with it being triple tiered. It's not triple tiered, it's only double tiered.
And I understand that. This was actually one of the routes, one of the 10 routes that I pulled for performance and rebid. Bidding contract, purchase contract laws in New Jersey are very specific, and they're sometimes difficult to work with. The rebidding, I went through a whole rebidding process, and I can't get to pick the lowest bid, so I have to work with what I have. So what I'm going to do is I may rebid it again come this spring. But that being said, I want to take care of this year and make sure that it's taken care of, we get them on time, but that means we have to implement the early bus meets again, we need to make it happen.
Why didn't we have those monitors in place day one, since we didn't change the route and we knew it was physically impossible to run the route on time? Which I documented in great detail last year and again this year.
Well, our route sheets, the way they were done, showed that it was doable, that it was possible, that it was going to work. But in reality, when you start running it, it doesn't always work out. So-
Anyone with an iPhone or an iPad can use Google Maps to figure out you cannot get from Hilldale to Walhall Road in 2 minutes. That's what was on the bus pass last year. Unload 52 students and drive from Hilldale to Walhall Road in 2 minutes. This year, it has a total of 6 minutes on the bus pass. My daughter is the first stop on Route 22. So how can a bus unload 52 students? Who could look at that and think that that's realistic, to drive 5 miles in 6 minutes?
I'll be honest with you, I don't have Route 22 with me tonight, and I'd be more than happy to take a look at it with you, in my office or at another time, because I don't have it with me, I don't have it at the top of my head, so I can't really comment on it, on the specifics of the detail.
Were there
But I could do that with
are
you.
there other routes that are problematic?
Yes.
It wasn't just 22?
No, there were a couple others. Yeah, there's a number of
It's
them.
the majority of the Tulaco routes. Okay, who decides to couple a Hilldale bus to a northern Tulaco Lazar bus?
I replied.
That's the issue.
Okay, again, I don't have the details with me this evening.
My question is, who decides that? Is the district or the bus company? That's what I want to know.
Ultimately, the district routes them out and sends them to the bus company. The bus company makes modifications sometimes. And sometimes I have to work with what I have to work with. But like I said, we knew that these were problematic. So what we did was from day one, we were very carefully monitoring the buses, the arrival and departure times at every single school, including Lazar. And that's how we saw very quickly on that, this isn't going to work. I'm still going to have 5, 6 buses that are going to be chronically late. So we tried to be as proactive as we could. I met with the bus manager 2 weeks ago, it was 2.5 weeks ago now, and formulated this plan, brought it to the board, implemented it, so we can get things, shaped up as quickly as possible this school year.
Jim has kept the board apprised of the issues and the steps that he's taken to make corrections. So none of this is really, it's not a surprise to us, it's unfortunate, but I think Jim and his transportation office has been working very hard to correct it.
Respectfully, I agree they're working hard to correct it, but I do not agree with the description of it being proactive. This was a known issue, well documented to the transportation coordinator last year. I was given assurances that it would not happen this year. Not only did it happen, but the remedy for it last year was removed this year. That's not proactive.
And again, I just, I don't like to leave it quite like that because, again, I did try to explain that I did rebid the routes.
Yes, but you sent home bus passes the third week of August that clearly could not be honored. Not in the morning and not in the afternoon
We
either.
don't have our own bus fleets, okay? So I don't have 100% control, okay, on how the contractor decides to ultimately route it. And that's my whole point. If we own our own bus fleet, then it's 100% within our control. That's where it can be a little bit difficult when you're outsourcing something like that. I mean, it is more efficient. No ways ifs or buts about it, but you're going to have these problem routes from time to time. And what we do is we identify them and we work it correctly.
It very well could be, Diane, that the contractor understands that that's a difficult route, but they may not have any ability to change it. I can't think of any other reason why if a bus company knows it's a problematic route, from year to year and keeps the route the same, it must be because they have no alternative.
I think we have to find an alternative. Spending extra transportation money to pay bus monitors to do the job that the bus company should be doing?
One of the steps that I took was I added 2 additional elementary school routes in hopes of alleviating some of the pressure off of these problem routes. And we did it to some extent, there's no doubt, there's definite improvements. But there's still, like I said, there's still identified a few routes that are still chronic. Not as many as last year, not by a long shot. So we're making strides every year.
And I think we really have to remember that this is an issue because the community wanted us to begin Lazar earlier.
I have to disagree. My son did 3 years at Lazar and had never seen L&N until 8th grade because he was never in homeroom during L&N. So this route has been a problem for, he's a junior in high school now, so it's been a problem
It's
for a
just
very
that
long
we
time.
definitely shrunk the turnaround time between elementary and
Yes,
Lazar
and I spoke to
when we shifted the time. So I think if it was problematic, we exacerbated it.
Potentially, yes. I just don't think it takes a rocket scientist to figure out you cannot use a Hilldale bus to run a northern Tawaka route. You waste 15 minutes in deadhead time. Okay, you got 10 minutes to run the route and get from Old Lane in Tawaka all the way to Lazar. You got 10 minutes to make 13 stops and then drive to Lazar. It defies logic, and that's why I'm a little
There may-
frustrated.
Well, I'm not going to speak for Jim, but
I'd like-
it may be that there aren't any other buses available, but why don't you?
I'd like to take you up on your offer, Jim. Can we sit down and go over this?
You can call my office, make an appointment, I'm more than happy to do
I
that.
appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Terry Becker, Dining Room Road in Tawako. I agree with Diane's observations 100%. The one question I would also ask Mr. Tevis is on the back end in the afternoon. Children are sitting in their classes for upwards of 10 minutes, maybe more, waiting for buses to arrive. Is there a plan to alleviate that? And I would like the board to know that at Lazar's back to school night last week, one of the teachers commented that he's behind because he's waiting for buses to arrive. So it's not just a transportation issue anymore, it's an educational issue. Route 18 has been plagued for, I've now found parents, 7 years.
4 minutes, no doubt.
Yeah, 7 years. The bus came today at 8:11, so we've made about a 42-second improvement from yesterday. You have young kids, new to Lazar. These kids don't have an opportunity to go to their locker but twice a day. So they get in at 8:29. They're scrambling to their locker to get all their books for the morning. This is just not a good way for children to ease into their day. So I would hope that we would be proactive and not reactive, which is what a group of us asked for last year. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Well, Dr. Friedman, I want you to address the issue of the afternoon. I mean, that's really maybe something we look at with the school administration.
Well, I mean, there's one sense that at Lazar, children are placed on buses, but the buses aren't released until all of the children are placed on buses. But I think you're alluding to the fact that the buses haven't arrived yet, am I correct? So that's a different issue than the buses being released.
Oh, I misunderstood.
So she was saying the kids are still in their classrooms, I think I heard her say. Yeah,
That's different.
the fact that Lazar seems to hold buses that are ready to go until all the buses are ready to go, I think is an administrative kind of issue that we need to discuss with Lazar. Is that the best practice? Should buses that are filled already be allowed to leave? I know there are two schools of thought on that. Some schools do in fact release buses when they're filled. Other schools, fearing that some children perhaps miss their bus call if they release those buses, and then you find out a child was on bus 10 and that bus is left. Now the child is there without a bus. If you have all the kids on all the buses and they all leave, you know everybody's accounted for. So that's a little bit of an internal issue, but you're talking about, I think, again, buses that are late.
They're not coming, they're not getting to
Right.
the building. And
So-
these kids were promised the benefit of 25 minutes, and they're not, many of them are not getting them. You know, 3:15, my kid on Route 18 is getting off the bus at 3:52. What's happening between 3:15 and 3:52?
Again, I did see some correspondence on the afternoon bus 18, and it's not what I'm hearing from you. So I'm going to need to clarify,
Okay.
because I'm getting a different story. Okay, the AM, I'm totally on board with.
Right,
I
okay.
really am. The afternoon, I'm not. So I need to clarify, because in the afternoon, it is a totally different story that I'm not seeing what you're seeing on it. Okay?
Good evening, I'm Monique Giovanna for Kristen Court.
Just speak a little closer.
Sure.
Thank you.
Monique Giovanna for Kristen Court. My child too is a Lazar student, and we are in Tawaka. It's a different bus route than both Terry and Diane's bus route. We're on bus route 22. So it's the same situation in the morning, where I doubt my daughter's seen the homeroom more than 3 times last year and has missed it every period so far this year. And also, at the end of the ninth period, needs to stay in school the extra time till her bus arrives. So I'll echo what the ladies have already pointed out. But I'd like to add, just from a child's standpoint, and maybe from something we can do as an educational community, the announcements that are made in the morning and the information that's shared in the morning is missed by this group of students from Tawako. And perhaps it can at least be communicated at the end of the day if they're waiting for the buses. There have been many things that have been announced over this past week and a half in school, including clubs starting, class photos, things that the children needed to be prepared for that they had no information on. So, I mean, I know that's a very individual individual thing, but you have students that had a picture day today in Lazar that never received the information for picture day and missed it. You know, which doesn't seem like a big thing, but.
No, it's a big deal.
Okay, so if they're, while we're looking at a way to remediate the actual transportation issue, perhaps we could look from a school procedural issue and see if there's a way to share that information. Because there's the same children that are waiting.
More communication.
Same children that are waiting. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the assistant superintendent, curriculum instruction, right, we can have a conversation with the middle school administration and see what we can do about addressing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But I would say that while the three of you spoke very eloquently about the issue, Mr. Tevis did discuss that he does have a plan and reviewed it with the board. It's going to take a little bit of time for him to implement it. But we have faith that it's going to move in the right direction, and the communication from you is helpful too.
I said my daughter's route is 22, it's 24.
Right, somebody actually whispered it in my
All right,
ear.
thank you.
That's
Thank
okay.
you.
And I can figure it out by the
Okay.
I have a couple questions. As I understand it, the way it works is that the group of buses, first they do everything for the high school, then for the elementary school, then for the SAR, correct?
That's correct.
How are we doing with getting pickups for the elementary school?
Fine.
Fine.
Everything's on time.
I mean,
The problem is the buses are actually getting to the elementary school 7:40 in some cases, but they can't unload because the teaching staff in the elementary school starts at 7:55. So that's where implementing the early morning bus aids like we did last year allows us to unload those buses 10, 15 minutes earlier, get them on their starting the middle school route sooner, and get them to the middle school route. Not for those couple of buses, those 5 routes or 6 routes that are chronic and problematic. I mean, for whatever it's worth, and I know Mrs. Becker has seen it over a number of years now. I mean, it used to be 10, 11, 12 bus routes that were chronic related. So again, no, it's not perfect. No, it needs to be fixed, and it will be. But we are making progress every year. So I think it's important to add that.
yeah, the reason I asked the question is because if we've got some wiggle room for the elementary schools, is there any, can we consider maybe tweaking the times a little bit? I mean, what if we say just start the elementary schools 2 minutes earlier, start the middle school 3 minutes later? I mean, it's a minimal thing for the actual school day, but it might make a difference.
We're only talking about 5 or 6 bus routes. If we were talking about 75% of our bus routes, then I think that might be something to take a look at. But in my opinion, for 5 bus routes, 6 bus routes, we take a look and see what we can do on the transportation end to fix it first, such as implementing the early morning bus aids.
Okay, I just thought that maybe if we just tweak the times a little bit, we could really substantially stick with the schedule we have. But, maybe 2 minutes earlier on the elementary, 3 minutes later on the SAR, give you a little bit of 5 minutes to work with, which, might make a difference and would have an absolute negligible impact on, start times and closing times for schools.
Well, again, I'd like to see what happens with Jim's plan first. I think your suggestion's a good one. It's not out of the question, but we tried, of course, to move the Lazard times earlier. We're going to try to keep it that way if we can. And if we tamper with the elementary time, then of course we have the high school crunch there a little bit as well. So right now, as Jim's saying, it's only several bus routes at the Lazar level. Let's see if this can make a difference.
Any more questions? Any more? Diane, just restate your name again.
Diane Winterno, 17 Dacrest Road. I just want to know, how much are we spending on the bus monitors this year?
It's somewhere, I don't have an exact count yet because we didn't actually retain them all, but it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 8,000 to 10,000
For the year?
for the year.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I'll close public participation. Okay. Motion for items I through O.
So moved. Second.
John Frank? John Frank? Any questions on the minutes? Jay? Kay? Are there any questions on N? N? Okay, and now, we just need to move October 7th to October 8th. So a secondary motion? You just want to amend your... So John is amending his original motion to include you. Thank you, Steve. Roll call.
Mr. Morella?
Abstain on I, July 22nd, August 5th, yes, everything else.
I'm sorry, abstain on I.
July 22nd, August 5th.
Mr. Cooney?
Yes.
Dr. Modrak?
Yes.
Mrs. Novy?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Aye on all items except K8. That's a nay.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Dr. King?
Yes.
And Dr. Quigley?
Yes.
Motion's passed.
Any old business or additional reports?
Yeah, it's additional reports.
Yes.
Only because we kind of somehow or other blew over DAC on the original part of the calendar. I did attend DAC last week, and we talked quite a bit about two things, some of which I guess tangentially affect the board and the students in the school, and others that affect the community. One being the Rachel's Challenge, which DAC supports and is going to be involved in trying to push through and supporting. And the other was a lot of talk about the proposed underage drinking ordinance, which DAC also supports. And I was actually asked by the town committee liaison to just announce in public that the vote's going to be on October 14th, and anybody in the public who has any interest in it should be there for that meeting.
I have a question. Mike, in your meeting or in your contact with the township committee liaison, what is the intended effect of the law? And what I mean by that is, it seems to me that what it does is permit the police to issue summonses to minors, and that's one of the only substantial differences.
Well, it allows the police to make warrantless searches based upon probable cause, but the real intent, as I understand the township committee's intention, is to, shall we say, decriminalize underage drinking, such that if a student is underage drinking, they can face consequences short of the more serious criminal consequences, which could put something on their record and possibly affect their getting into college and things of that nature.
Decriminalize it or just offer an option in terms of charging?
Well, I think we're saying the same thing in different words.
Decriminalizing means it's no longer
Okay.
considered criminal.
Okay, I shouldn't say decriminalizing, you're correct.
I know.
Two lawyers, so.
Yes.
But, well, it's just a question, I'm not saying if you heard. My understanding, and I'm sure there's a police officer at the end of the table who's gonna probably elucidate me on something, but my understanding is one of the major differences is that they would now be able to issue a summons to a minor. Is that correct, John? Do you know?
They can't issue a summons to a minor, so I don't really know.
But that's what this ordinance shows.
If they're under the age of 21 and they're over 18, then yes, they can be issued a summons.
I thought I saw the word minor, but I'm right.
Minor.
Maybe underage drinker is the word?
Yeah, underage drinker probably, because as long as they're over 18, they're under 21.
But they're under 21.
Then, yeah, they can be issued.
So I guess
Still
the
not
board
sure.
members have questions, we should attend the October
Yeah.
14th meeting of the town council.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious, I didn't mean to put Mike on the spot, like this is his area of expertise or anything, but if he had heard, what?
Okay, we're finished with that?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
Yes, thank you, Mike.
I just want to announce that Rockaway Township Board of Education is hosting a meeting on October 20th at Copeland Middle School. And it's to discuss with the public unfunded mandates and a request up to the state legislature to fully fund any mandates imposed by the state. So this is a meeting that they're holding really to engage the public, to have a conversation with the public. It's on October 20th, Rockaway Township Board of Education. I applaud them for conducting this public meeting. No other comment? I'll open it up to the public for...
No, I did want to say, I know that we had a round of back-to-school nights, certainly here in the high school. That was, Mike and I attended as parents, and from my perspective, it was a very well-run evening, very good opening comments made by Mr. Sanford and other members of organizations, very well attended by members of the administration as well. And I thought that the overall spirit in the school, aside from the facilities being in very good shape, I thought the overall spirit was very positive. I did want to shout out to Steve Toth and the facilities crew. Earlier in the week, there had been an issue with the lighting in the high school parking lot, and last minute they were able to fix that, and I know it's a lot of work. That would have been a bit of an issue for that many people parking in the high school lot, so please thank Mr. Toth.
Thank you.
I have a comment, actually. I attended Lazar's back-to-school night in Valley View, and I thought maybe Dr. Fried would like to know. What I heard coming from the teachers was very, very interesting. I thought that the teachers overall that I saw, and I saw quite a few at Lazar as a parent, actually did a good job of providing at least some level of information about how some things had changed about the park, about the Common Core, and how the curriculum had changed to some extent to align with that. So I was actually very pleased to go meet those teachers. I think they did a great job. And the one at the summer.
Mike?
I mean, at that.
Just changing topics very slightly. I did want to mention,
Speak a little louder.
I did want to mention on another topic, the lovely article about our president that was on tap. And I think it showed the wonderful humanity of the person that we have as the president of our board.
Thank you, Mike.
Congratulations.
That they really interviewed somebody who lived differently. There are no further comments. I'll open it up to the public for items that are not on the agenda. Anything you'd like to talk about? Okay. Seeing nothing further, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, great, thank you.